Well, Christian Pulisic, no doubt one of the leaders on this U.S. team, but it is the start of the next qualifying cycle. So let's hammer down. Let's lock in who that leader should really be. A lot of discussions around who the captain for the U.S. men's national team should be. For these 3 games, with pretty much, Herc, everybody in the pool at Greg Berhalter's disposal, who do you want to see wearing the armband?
Let me start by saying I absolutely hate this musical chairs with the captain's armband from Greg Berhalter. It drives me nuts. It should be cherished. It should be respected. It actually means something. You don't go passing it around like it's a carrot. Don't dangle in front of a player's face like it's a carrot, like, hey, try harder. You can be the captain. Let's motivate these players. No. We've seen 8 different, probably more different captains under Greg Berhalter. I'm going to throw some names at you. Will Trapp, okay, Tim Ream, Aaron Long, Walker Zimmerman, Paul Arriola. They've all been captains under Greg Berhalter. This needs to mean something. Now, if you're asking me who should be the captain, I've got only one name only. That's Tyler Adams. When I look at Tyler Adams, I see the future. I see the future captain. I see leadership. I see a man who wants the responsibility. We've interviewed Tyler Adams before here at ESPN. We've ran YouTube and digital segments with Tyler Adams. I asked him myself, do you want to be the captain of this team? Yes. With all his heart, that's what he wants the most. When you talk about a player that is well respected, that has the attributes, that speaks to that plays with that conviction, it's Tyler Adams. There is nobody who can convince me that Tyler Adams isn't the future of the captaincy for the U.S. men's national team. Okay,
I love Tyler Adams, but only one choice? That seems a little bit exaggerated. Let me play devil's advocate here just on Adams real quick. The only knock on him that I can see is the availability.
Yes, correct.
Right? Like, he has not been around all that much with the national team. He's had a lot of injuries. I think you could even maybe say moving forward there's some concerns about how injuries might impact his availability with the national team. I think beyond that, Herc, he wasn't a part of well, he was a part of it, but he wasn't as key a part of it as some other guys, the kind of seminal moments that we had over the summer against Mexico. I think those moments are where your leaders are really born, and that's why I'm going to suggest first a guy like Weston McKennie, because I think we have seen Weston McKennie. If you want that fiery brand of leadership, you almost have to consider him, right? He's not just fiery, Herc, but we also see him keep his cool in those critical moments. I'll take you back. I mean, he's always getting choked by Mexican players, right? 2019 Gold Cup final, it's Andres Guardado. This past Gold Cup final, it's Hector Herrera. And yet, Weston McKennie keeps his cool. Oh, by the way, in the Nations League final, the Nations League final, not the Gold Cup final, it's him that sparks the comeback. Without him, I don't think the U.S. is even remotely in that game. It's really him off those set pieces that makes the difference. For me, he's an obvious suggestion if you know he's going to be in the lineup and maybe you have questions about Tyler Adams.
So there are different types of leaders. He's an emotional leader. You know those guys who are glue
Adams
guys
is
in
an
the
emotional leader too.
Hold on, but he's a guy who knows. Adams is a guy who knows exactly what to say, what to do in the critical moments. I see Weston as a guy that people love to be around. I see Tyler as a guy who's respected amongst the group, and if Tyler speaks, people listen. Weston is the guy you want to be around and everybody gets along with, so that's a different type of leadership. But Weston's big moments in the games, those big key game moments, that's an extremely important thing to have in a leader. So yeah, I agree with you on that sense, but everything screams Tyler Adams for me. He's just a guy who gets what it means to be a leader.
Speaking of big moments, what about the case for Christian Pulisic? Because I think we have to acknowledge that this is no longer like the teenage kid who's growing up, right? He has the huge penalty moment against Mexico. He has the shush the crowd moment against Mexico, which might also be bigger. He's rocking the U.S. soccer polo, or what was it, a hoodie, I guess, after they won the Champions League. This is a kid who is embracing more and more being the face of U.S. soccer. I go back to the Players Tribune article that he wrote a few years ago, where he basically guaranteed that this team would be in Qatar. Why not Christian Pulisic, Herc? Why not Christian Pulisic as the captain of this team?
This isn't a bad thing, but Christian Pulisic reminds me a lot of Landon Donovan. Landon had a lot of Christian Pulisic's attributes. He was a guy who not necessarily spoke up in front of the media or in front of the players that much. He was more actions on the field. And many people confused him just because they called him Captain America and he was the face of U.S. soccer as actually being the captain of the U.S. men's national team. That wasn't the case. Claudio Reyna was a captain, he was there, and then Carlos Bocanegra was a captain when he was there. And when they weren't around, Michael Bradley was the captain. He had way more times he wore that captain's armband than a player like Landon Donovan. There are reasons for this. It's not that he's not a great player. There are certain players with those attributes to lead. With those attributes to lead not only with the players, but with the press and with the coach in the critical moments. And he was a player that had an air for the spectacular, but he wasn't necessarily that captain to the players. So he's on the same scale as Landon Donovan, where he may be the face, he may be the shield, but I think there are probably 3 or 4 in front of him to be that actual captain.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPNFC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.